We have lost Olefi. Many of our young men are killed. Our enemies will destroy us if we do not act. Now. I am the one sent by the grandfathers to point the way. We must travel to where the white trader camps. He will place fire sticks in the hands of our warriors. Then we will show our enemies who we are. Oha! 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 Hiya! Hiya!
If the Mato wish to trade, I will lead them to the white man. We will travel as one family as far as the white trader. There, I will choose to continue south into the grandfather's country. At the white traders, you will have a choice between who follows the shirt man and who remains with Peshla.
Keep the Mato from traveling where they wish to go.
Ableza? I'm told the white man offers strips of brightly colored cloth. Perhaps I will trade for them and wear them. And the young men will find me pretty.
Kipana needs no cloth or bright colors to make her prettier than she is.
The young men know I live in your lodge, but not as your wife. When first I came to you, I came as a sister to fulfill an obligation. I now wish for someone to touch me. Someone to make me his wife.
Kipana, what pleasure can I bring you if lying alongside you brings nothing to me?
Man knows youth or age only in his heart.
What good is it for my wife's sister to lie alongside a dead heart? When Kipana discovers someone she truly desires, I will make certain the fortunate young man knows of her interest.
Someone who will call me wife. Who desires me as the mother of his child. Someone I will call husband, whose heart belongs to me, remembering always someone who will never belong to me.
I'm in need of robes for trading. Even yours. A peace man's robe in trade for the fire stick. The people will follow me. You'll see.
People will camp here tonight. Those who choose to trade will begin tomorrow.
I have no need to trade with the white hairy faces. I will not stay in this place. I will go with my brother friends south to the grandfather's country.
The grizzly awaits the pronghorn.
I desire to trade for the white man's iron cooking pot. Shia wives use them. Shahala women also use them. Your father would not permit me one. If you deny me, I will hear father and son speaking through one voice. When the trading is done, I will follow you to the grandfather's country.
It is your right to choose, Mother.
All of the young men cannot own the fire stick without more robes.
They're mine. Mine for trading. They're mine!
Trade the peace man's robe. He has no need for it. Touch the robes, shirt man.
These robes belong to Kepana. You will never know what happens here.
Tesla fears no enemy. The Mato need his strength. Our people are not many. Stand among them. Become a force for good.
The sacred word for all is choose. I have not the power to stop even one of you. Those who choose not to trade with the white man will travel with me now.
Chankuna, when next I see you, I will give you an iron cooking pot.
I will be happier to see you, my friend.
I recall the words of Anagi. A season comes when the lives of the people will depend upon us. The bond between two who seek a vision. Hunka, my relative, my brother by choice. Someone who keeps the people shall keep the pipe.
A bond between I and you. A pipe never to be broken.
I ask my brother friend to stay with my mother and the others. Those who will follow into the grandfather country may do so safely.
I will show friendliness to the whites. Only if friendliness appears the wise course.
Ils arrivent.
The white trader welcomes the Mato to trade with him.
I lead the Mato people to this trading. My warriors will own the fire stick.
Dis-leur que nous allons faire du commerce avec eux. Mais d'abord, nous devons célébrer notre amitié, hein? En buvant l'eau de feu.
The white trader offers the cup of friendship to the Mato. He offers the cup before trading.
Do you wish the white trader to think we are afraid of his drink? Now let us forget the shirt man, Tunwea. We're brothers here together. Drink.
Apportez des robes, apportez des bottes.
Bring rope! Bring high!
On mettra des armes fortes dans les mains des Matos.
The trader will place fire sticks in Mato hands.
On mettra les casseroles sur les fous des Matos.
The trader will place cooking pots in Mato fires.
Buvez, mes amis, buvez! Ça réchauffera vos ventres sauvages. Buvez! C'est comment vous chargez le mousquet, Diable Rouge. Comprenez? Hein? Ça? Si?
I make a new bet, Pixler. There.
I accept Miyaka's bet.
Dis au matelot que nous avons besoin encore de l'eau. Dis que le négociant leur donnera de l'eau de feu, saumon, pour des robes et des faux bateaux. Bon.
The white trader says, if you wish more burning drink, you must bring more robes.
It is not good what the burning drink does to the men.
The men behave like foolish boys. I fear for them.
I see in the seasons ahead. This pipe, symbol of your bond, will lie broken on the ground.
If I hold the pipe, I will protect it with my life.
Return, PFPPs.
come back after sunrise.
I think you try to trick us with this burning drink.
The trader trades no more today.
Only the spider plays tricks on the Marteau.
Our hands are empty. We have nothing to trade with.
Ça suffit. Ça suffit. Nous sommes tous amis. Revenez après le lever du soleil.
Listen to what the trader tells you. Come back after sunrise.
We accept the cup and the burning drink in friendship. I like the taste of his drink. I want more. The Marteau warriors want more. We have given away all our robes and hides. What will we have to offer in trade after sunrise? Our teepees, moccasins, or women? Children.
When you have more robes and hides, we will trade again.
Then what I see, I shall take. You wish your robes and hides back, you shall have them. And we shall have our drink! Hear me! If ever again this white trader says more than I hear, or tricks my ears and my people, I will hunt him down and decorate my fire stick with his hair.
We come here to trade, not to kill.
I stay out looking for those who will follow. I see no one.
I decided to wait at this camp for your mother and anyone who follows with her.
You are truly my father's friend and leader of the Marteau.
I follow the Shirt Man and his vision of peace.
The Shirt Man alone seeks an answer to how the people will survive without war.
How all the tribes will live in peace with one another.
Or no one will survive.
What of the white man? Will these white hairy faces seek good in our customs? Will they honor the Marteau way?
Only when certain ones of these white men hold the same good heart toward the Marteau as we hold towards each other.
Soon the Marteau will be away from the white man and all enemies, at peace in the sacred hills.
Within these hills we will live in a good place, where the earth invites us to hunt and sleep.
Home will be the grandfather's country, living in the old ways, by the old customs.
Dreams of the humpback to hunt, and wild horses to gather. Dreams of a young woman I sit beside,
There is a fight between Peshwa and the White Trader. There is a fire. Peshwa dies. Miyako also dies. The White Trader's burning drink replaces all sense among the young men.
Tonweya is given the pipe to watch over his brother and the young men.
I, too, taste the white man's burning drink. I break the pipe.
Pieces of this broken pipe, foretold by Wanagi many seasons ago. Take the people and the horses. Right south. I will lead the enemy away.
I am the one to make the Saw change their path.
My brother friend knows the shirt man protects the people. Go quickly.
I will stay and mislead these enemies.
I know this enemy on the black war horse. You, Misoon, will ride with your father.
My son shall point the way. He will make a path.
One of us has broken the bond. One of us breaks the pipe. Let this man carry the pipe against the enemy. If one of us is to die here, my brother, I am this one.
Why this talk of dying? I come in peace, but Saul will not harm a shirt man. I lead the enemy away. My brother friend leads the people home.
Hurry! Hurry, leave your teepees behind! They will turn away as the scout leads the way! These Pisal want all women and children captive! These Pisal want all Matome killed! There's the hill. That's the creek.
Grandfather, I carry the pipe. In a sacred way I come. Hear me, grandfathers. This day I fulfill the bond between a dreaming pair.
I am a peaceman. I wear the shirt of a peaceman. I ask peace among enemies. Sa and Mato. Mato and Sa.
So Ablaza's dream was fulfilled. The Mato band traveled safely to the grandfather's country, where for a time they lived in the old ways, hunting the humpback, gathering wild horses, and teaching their young to love sacred Mother Earth and to realize their oneness with all things.